So we're here in the attic, folks, and what we have is the outlet that will control the Stenner pump itself. This is a smart outlet. You can buy them on Amazon, I think 10 bucks or so. You can manually turn it on here, turn it off. There's an app that I can remotely do with my phone that you can set it up on a timer, etc., etc. I've tested them before and they're pretty spot on. They say there might be a few second delay, plus or minus, but for the most part, they're pretty accurate. Now, for my system, I don't have an Apex. I've always used those cheap digital timers, and I'm probably going to use the same thing here. This will be a backup. I haven't tried and trued this one yet. The digital timer has been working for me for about 10 years, so I figure why, fix a non-broken part. So in addition to this, there'll be a digital timer on here. That's how I control how much flow goes through that pump. I've already calculated it out. In my situation with the head pressure and friction, it's about 15 minutes for a gallon of water. I'm going to want to do about 5 gallons a day. So we're looking at, an hour and 15 minutes at night. I'll just have it turn on and we'll be good to go. So we are in the attic, and this is just for example, this is an inline pump airflow, about 300 or 400 cubic feet per minute, that I had on for 6 months, and look at her, she is rusted out real nice. That's the amount of humidity that comes with a fish room. So just keep that in mind. It still works. I had to tinker with it a little bit. I replaced it with a new one, but yeah, that's just crazy. So much humidity. So much humidity. So let's do a little boot scooting boogie, or I don't know, something like that. Let's go to the other side of the attic. Oh, we're over the living room now. Let's go over the attic. So, this is what it looks like. Hang on, I'm gonna grab a flashlight. Whenever I come above my attic, or above the garage in the attic, this is what I see. Okay, looks kind of sloppy because it is. This is the ventilation that came from the main unit over here. It comes up there, comes down. I think it was a 6-inch duct. It pushes it in there. And then the return, I didn't run actually back to the unit because I was afraid of rusting. So it actually goes off to the soffit. I posted pictures about that previously. When the air conditioner is running during the summertime full blast, it keeps that room pristine. In the wintertime, I can open the window and turn on the inline fan that's back there. I ran out of the not duct tape, but the aluminum duct tape, and then I just threw some masking tape on there last night because it actually broke open. So I fixed that real quick, but I'm out. I got to go to Home Depot. And, underneath there is actually the light unit, etc., etc. Now, here's the Stenner pump. Greg said, get your buckets ready. Well, Greg, that's a bucket. That's what it's sitting on. It's kind of lodged in between those lat boards here. Let me do a little walking. The camera's not going to be that great, but I'm trying not to fall through my roof. If there is a leak by chance, I'm not terribly worried about it because the drywall, look, it's drywall, and then there's the garage. Look, there's where the light outlet is. I'm not that worried about it. I would probably not recommend for most people to have this in their attic. For my situation, I think it's an interesting idea, and I'm going to try it. So hang on, bear with me, folks. I'm trying to get stationed to where I don't destroy the drywall. Oh, light off. Come on, light. You hear that rain. So here's what we got. Trying to find a way to position the light here. I'll put it over here. All right. Let me reposition. Hit my head on the dang roof. Let's get it sorted out. Okay, we're stable. So, here's what we got. One of these, like I said previously, will tend to be move more water. The outlet that goes down the waistline has a longer stretch of tubing to go through. In theory, it shouldn't affect it, but the friction does affect it. So basically, one of these is a higher flow and one's a lower flow. and I labeled them accordingly. Now the higher flow one is the one that has the longer stretch to go. I did that because I want to kind of balance it out. It's got a little more coming out of this last one over here, but it's got a longer stretch. So that should balance it out a little bit. So basically this one right here, this is the one that sucks the fresh water from the vat and puts it into the fish room or into the sump. And this one takes it from the sump and runs it down the waistline of the washroom. So, and here's the model number. I believe it is the 170 DMP5. That's the highest flow rate with 25 PSI. They make a 100 PSI version. It's a little more expensive, but you know, 25 PSI translates to about 63 feet of head pressure. With this pump being about 10 feet off the ground, I lose about 17% of its effectiveness. I'm fine with that. I'm perfectly fine with it. Like I said in the last video, it does a gallon in about 15 minutes, so I'm okay with it. But basically that's the setup. I mean, it just kind of runs around, and you know, I drilled holes back over here. Sorry, I'm kind of at a bad angle. And you can't really see, there's, you know, you can see some tubing that runs over there, and that's going to the washroom back in the corner. So I don't know, that pretty much explains it. I'm sure there's more questions out there. I can address those, but it's not that complex, you know, like I said. So this one takes it from the vat, puts it in the sump. This one takes it from the sump and gets rid of the water. That's it. So I will explain though, as far as the difference in the flow rate, how you accommodate for that is there's a way to kind of figure out. Basically, I put a bucket under the head that would go into the sump. I put a bucket under there, and then I put another bucket under the one that would throw down the wash line, and I figure out which one's putting out more or less. If the sump, or sorry, if the Stenner is taking out more water than it's putting in, then what you're going to want to do is raise the salinity of the vat. Okay? If the pump is taking out less water than it's putting in, then you want to lower the salinity of the vat. What that will do, it'll put you right on par to hit at 35 parts per trillion or million or whatever the hell that is, or you know, 1.026. It just kind of levels out. So you make a slight adjustment. This pump is, you know, it's a little off, but it's consistently off, and that's what's most important. You adjust the salinity of your vat from there and call it a day. You know, about every 6 months or so, you might have to go in there and adjust it a little bit. But I can't even ascribe that to this pump, considering that your skimmer's taking salt out, you're bagging corals, your hands are coming in and out, salt's coming out. So, you know, 6 weeks with, basically it'll go from like 35 parts per trillion or whatever to like 34. So it's pretty consistent, you know. And like I said, if it's off, it's consistently off, and that's what's most important. So anyways, well, post it up if you have any more questions, and I think that pretty well explains it. But all right, yeah, keep reefing, y'all. Bye.